Much has been made about whether Quidditch will be in Hogwarts Legacy, and while the matter has been settled, fans are still reading the tea leaves like Professor Trelawney. Though we do not know whether Quidditch will appear in DLC or subsequent games, what I do believe we know with absolute certainty is that we will be flying an Oakshaft 79. Accio Attorney, a trustworthy muggle in the wizarding world. Because I will never get to live my dream of being a chaser for the Tutchel Tornadoes, owing to the fact that I do not live in Tutchel and am a muggle, I have instead made it my mission to read as much as I can about the grand sport of Quidditch. Though I have not yet got my hands on a copy of his other works like The Wonder of Wigtown Wanderers, He Flew Like a Madman, or Beating the Bludgers, a study of defensive strategies in Quidditch, I am enthralled with the venerated Kennelworthy Wisp's Quidditch Through the Ages, Wizhard Books, 1952. From it, we learn that the first commercial racing broom was invented in 1879, the Oakshaft 79. Before that, individuals were left to handcraft or bewitch their own brooms for flight. The argument that Hogwarts doesn't shell out the galleons on school brooms is well-founded. After all, Oliver Wood hounded Harry about getting a Nimbus 2001 when his Nimbus 2000 got wrecked by the Whomping Willow in Chapter 12 of The Prisoner of Azkaban. Otherwise, he would be left flying with an ancient shooting star against the Ravenclaw's Clean Sweep Sevens. For those of you who aren't broom historians like myself, the shooting star hit the market in 1955 and its maker, Universal Brooms, went out of business in 1978. This means that at best, Harry's shooting star was 15 years old, and at worst, it was 38 years old. So, because the school brooms that Hogwarts had during Harry's time were older and likely cheaper models, we would assume Hogwarts wouldn't spend a lot of money outfitting the school with the only commercial racing broom on the market, right? Yet, first, we are able to achieve high altitudes and high speeds, something not available in personal brooms. Second, the Oakshaft 79 prioritized safety over agility, something a school would want to prioritize. And as you can see from this clip, we don't seem to be turning too tightly. And third, the alternative would be for Hogwarts to employ someone to create individual brooms to supply the school. Hogwarts can't seem to find a competent defense against the dark arts teacher to stay for more than 1 year. I highly doubt they have a broom maker on staff. Quidditch Through the Ages also provides us with an interesting timeline on the development of the game. In 1820, the gripping charm was first invented by Elliot Smethwick. I can just imagine first years talking about flying lessons over Christmas dinner when an ordinary grandparent says, "When I was your age, I didn't have the privilege of flying with gripping charms," along with their usual, "I had to fly to school uphill, both ways, in the snow." Also of note, those same grandparents and our flying lessons professor would have watched Quidditch with scoring baskets instead of the nice shiny hoops that we are all used to. It wasn't until 1883 that the baskets were abolished for the standardized hoops. This means that the hoop we see briefly in the background is likely only around 6 years old. From a Daily Prophet article dated February 12, 1883, which, let me quickly jump in, only cost 1 Canute, the same price as today. Apparently magic can prevent inflation. We also learn that goblin agitators were known troublemakers in the community at that time. Speaking of goblin agitators, as we learn from the trailer, Ranrock is leading a Goblin Rebellion during the time of Hogwarts Legacy. Though many Goblin Rebellions have taken place through the years, the Goblin Liberation Front, a very active group attracting a number of disaffected anarchist wizards, was blamed by some for the antics during the 1877 World Cup, also known as the Tournament That Nobody Remembers. The Quidditch World Cup started in 1473 and has been held every 4 years ever since. However, those of you good at math will realize that if you keep adding 4 years to 1473, you will not end up with 1994, the year Harry saw Bulgaria versus Ireland in the World Cup. This is because nobody had any memory of the 1877 World Cup, so it needed to be held again in 1878. In the 15 years between that World Cup and Hogwarts Legacy, the Goblin conflict may have reached a boiling point, which led to Ranrock's rebellion. Moving on from 83 to 84, we learn that 1884 brought about another change to the game of Quidditch, a new penalty to protect the keepers called stooging. Stooging occurs when more than one chaser enters the scoring area to beat up the keeper. It seems like the head of the Department of Magical Games and Sports is similar to Roger Goodell, in that he is not a fan of fun. Of note, this is also the year of the famed game on Bodmin Moor, where the golden snitch avoided capture for 6 months. Maybe this snitch decided to hide out in the Gryffindor common room. Though I do not expect it to come up, the European Cup was held in 1889 and the World Cup was held in 1890. I think it would be a cool Easter egg to see or overhear NPCs in Hogwarts Legacy talking about who won the cup over the summer once we first get to Hogwarts. If, and this is a big if, Quidditch does make an appearance in some way over the coming years, I hope there will be another Easter egg for those Appleby Arrow fans out there. In June of 1894, the Arrows' celebration of shooting arrows out of their wands after they score becomes outlawed due to an arrow through the nose of referee Nugent Potts. This is somewhat related to an amendment to the rules of Quidditch in 1849 that stipulates that if a member of the crowd casts any jinx or spell on a player, their team will automatically forfeit the match whether or not the team ordered or approved of the magic performed. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that since 1203, the Holyhead Harpies have only hired witches on their team. That sounds like discrimination to me. Now, if the women just outperform the men, that's completely different. But when you get close to 750 years without hiring a man, people might start to get suspicious. For you Quidditch fans, I highly encourage you to pick up a copy of Mr. Wisp's book and leave your favorite team in the comments. Until next time, don't attack the referee with overly exuberant celebrations.